Hi there, folks, and welcome to a short video that is meant to help orient you to our course, Ecofuturism. I'm in student view, so what you should be seeing on your own screen should be pretty identical to what you're seeing in this video, with the single exception that this video is not on my screen yet because I'm recording it. Our course is pretty intentionally easy enough to navigate. The place that you're going to probably spend most of your time is on this modules page. If you've taken any courses in our program before, a lot of this is going to be pretty straightforward. So this first, I will call it a module, but it's only got one thing in it, is a number of university policies. You don't need to necessarily read and memorize this, but if you want to know information about a whole host of things, all student policies, university's mission statement, all these kinds of things, pretty straightforward. You can click through those as you might need them. Then we've got a few other modules that at some point relatively early on, as you have a moment, you'll probably want to take a look at. This course requirements module walks through all sorts of information about our class. There's a copy of the syllabus here, both a PDF that I have apparently not added yet as of recording this. It will be there, and our syllabus in writing. You can also find that syllabus on this page that is very conveniently titled syllabus. And then there's another module that's simply about information about the MFA program. This is not necessarily something you need for our class, but it's just a good resource for information that you may want at some point in time. And then there's also a module about workshops in our course. Again, not something you need to necessarily look at in this first week, but as we start moving toward workshops later on, will be worth coming to. And you'll know when it is that you should do that, because I'll tell you. So then the rest of our course is broken out into 8 weekly modules. And so I'm not going to go through all of these, but just so that you can have a sense of how to navigate these, each weekly module is going to have an overview page. Now, I haven't made it yet, but the first thing that you're going to see in each week is a video about that week's work. So kind of like how this walks you through the course, that will walk you through that given week. There's an overview of each week along with our course objectives in case you would like to keep those in mind, and then a list of all of our assignments with their deadlines indicated. And then if you're in our module, each thing that you will find is meant to be in the order in which those things become due. So you can click on those, find them pretty easily. I'm going to make one note about some discussions, which is where we'll go next in just a moment. In our class, sometimes you'll see Canvas breaking out with these arrows when you need to submit your initial post and then when you need to submit replies. But in some others, you won't see that. So here's a good example of this. We've got a reading discussion that doesn't have that broken out, and then a thing called the lounge, which I'll explain in a moment, that does. The reason for that is in many of our reading discussions, there's actually going to be 3 deadlines, and Canvas only allows me to break out initial posts and responses if there's only 2 deadlines. Canvas gets really messy if you try to add a third one. So to that end, just be aware that every now and then you're going to need to keep track of some deadlines yourself. Now, these will be listed in the weekly overview page, and I will mention them in the video for that week. So just make sure that you are carefully following along with those, because some of those deadlines aren't always going to pop up automatically in here, arrowed out, or in your to-do list if you use that function in Canvas. Okay, so that's the basics of how you can walk through our classes. One way to do this is just click on the week 1 overview, and then as you want to progress through, you can simply click this next button, and it will lead you to the next thing based on its first deadline. If it's something that's got multiple deadlines, it won't be in that order. But that's basically how you'll navigate each of our weekly modules. The one thing I will also mention about our discussion boards is 2 things. So 3 things, actually. So in the first couple of weeks, there's this discussion board that I call the lounge. This is where you're going to take just a moment in the first week to introduce yourself. And then by the end of the second week, you'll reply to some folks, just say hello. And after those 2 weeks, I don't click on that discussion board anymore, but it is yours to do whatever you do or don't want with. Some students never log into it again, and that's okay. Some students choose to have other conversations about things in there, share extra work beyond what is expected in the workshop parts of the course, but it's really up to you. Think of it as your gathering place, the best we can create in an asynchronous class to your liking. The other thing I'll reference here is this questions for the instructor discussion board. It's exactly what it sounds like. If you've got a question that's just about the class in general, or something on Canvas, basically anything that's not specific to your needs or your grades, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, post it there. That would be ideal because sometimes people will have the same question, and this way people can look there to see if it's been answered there already. This is an online technology oriented course, and as much as I try to make sure I've done everything right, I am a human being who makes mistakes, and every now and then I forget to publish a page or publish a module. Something goes sideways with the tool or something like that. Please let me know when you have those problems and check to see if other people are having them too. It'll help me figure them out. And then the other discussion board I want to just mention here is this questions and curiosities. What I do with this is once you've all done your first video journal, one of the prompts in that is going to have to do with the questions that you have that you are hoping to get answered in this class. What I will do is I collect all those questions and I'll put them into this discussion board. And then I will, over the course of our class, essentially blog out answers so that to make sure that people are getting at least some kind of answer to those questions. You are, again, it's up to you to what degree you interact with that. There's no required assignment tied to it. You are welcome to post more ideas of your own, to pose new questions, or to just never look at it. But the goal there is to make sure that I'm at least in some way addressing every question that folks have in those video journals. Those are the basics of the course. I've tried to keep this quick and brief. Obviously, as you're getting your feet set under you, please do not hesitate to use and abuse that questions for the instructor. But my goal here is just for you to know the basics of